I think we're live.
Hey, here we are. Welcome home. Welcome to First Christian Church of Decatur. This is your 601 Wednesday live check-in. Good to see you. Welcome. I'm James Brewer Calvert, Senior Pastor at First Christian Church.
I'm Anna Strickland, the Associate Pastor at First Christian Church.
Outstanding. And right below us is our cat Chase, who's telling us he's here, but he won't get on camera. He's very shy. So I was at the church today and saw some pictures of our marquee that we had put up when we became open and affirming. And the marquee said, "Welcome home to an open and affirming congregation. Love always wins." And I've always liked that idea that love always wins. May the love of God be with you and yours. So we invite you to post and to share any joys or concerns. And Anna's going to be leading us through our Bible study tonight. And if you've got ideas and insights, please feel free to post them. Please remember that whatever you post is always there because the internet is forever. So with that, let's take it away. Go ahead, Reverend.
So tonight we want to talk about our own and your Damascus Road experiences. So this week we've been talking about Crossroads, and this week is high drama at Crossroads. And our text is Acts 9. But what I really want to focus on is the moments in our lives that transform us and change us, that we know after that moment we can't go back to how we were before. So to give a little background from Acts 9, Saul, who later becomes Paul, is known for threatening, hurting, murdering Christians, disciples of Christ, not the denomination, actual disciples, and biblical disciples. We're disciples too.
We are.
Yeah.
It's all good.
You know what I meant.
We know what you mean.
And Saul's on this journey, and a light comes down from heaven, basically blinding him, and he hears a voice saying, "It's me, Jesus, who you're persecuting." And then God tells Ananias, a Christian at that time, to help Saul. And Ananias is kind of like, I've heard things about him. This is scary. But he does it anyway. And he talks to Saul, keep wanting to say Paul, and it transforms him. Paul's then baptized, and he goes from threatening and killing disciples to proclaiming Jesus. He's transformed. Yet this story, we have a visitor, this story can be intimidating sometimes when we talk about our own journeys. Because I don't know about y'all, but I haven't had an experience where a bright light from heaven comes down and God is directly speaking to me. Yet, I've experienced, and I think many of us do, those times where we've gone from knowing about God to knowing God better. And there's a difference. You can know about someone, but you don't know them until you really get to talk to them.
Right.
So we want to know, if you'd like to share with us, what was that moment for you? What was your Damascus Road experience? I have one that I'll share. So in fall of 2016 was my second year at Candler, and it was in my first few weeks of interning at First Decatur. The first week of classes came, and I had to take Intro to Preaching. And I was a little nervous about it, but I go in class, and we're there. Teresa Fry Brown, the professor, is amazing. She goes over the syllabus, answers our questions, and then we're done early. And I thought, oh yes, we get to leave early. This is great. And she says, "Oh no, I've introduced your TAs. I want you to break up into your preaching groups," because we had small groups for that class. And so we did. And then our TAs tell us, they give us a text from Colossians. I can't remember the exact verse. Say, you have 2 minutes to read this, and then you're going to give us a 3-minute sermon with no notes, just off the top of your head.
That's the way to do it.
And
throw you in the deep end.
And I was terrified. But then I thought, all right, well, we normally go in alphabetical order, so I'm Strickland. I can go last in my group. Nope. They said, we're going to go in alphabetical order by first name. So Anna was first. And I can't tell you what I said. I was terrified. I don't remember. All I know is I basically ran out of that class and immediately called my mom and said, preaching is required to get an MDiv, and I cannot do this, so I will be dropping out of seminary. And she, of course, in her own pastoral way, as moms can do, she said, all right, let's think about this for a while before you make any hasty decisions. Sleep on it, pray about it, we'll talk about it. And I was so upset, and I didn't know what to do. That was on a Tuesday, and then Wednesday, I begrudgingly got out my textbook for preaching class because I had it on Thursday again. And it was a book by Fred Craddock on the craft of preaching. I was like, I guess I'll do this homework assignment and give it a chance. I've already been through a year. Let's see what happens. And while reading it, I found a quote that changed me, and I want to share it with you all. In his book, he said, well, nobody's a good talker, including the minister, when it comes to matters of God. I'm highly suspicious of a good talker. Whenever the words concerning God and Christ, salvation, cross, and resurrection slide smoothly from a tongue, I am immediately suspicious. But if the words come from way down deep and almost cannot be spoken, I will listen. End quote. I read that and started crying because in that moment, I felt like in those words, God was telling me, you can do this. You're called how you are, even if you stumble over the words. I felt seen and known. So I want you all to know, then I'll let you share yours.
You're on a roll. Keep
I
going.
want you all to know that, yes, we might not have Saul's transformation story where the light comes down. And even if other people don't recognize it as a huge dramatic thing, whether it's big or small, if it changes you, it matters. And God's working in you.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So I've had a couple Damascus Road experiences when I've gone from knowing about God to knowing God. And when I was 18 and I was away from home, I was in a gap year between high school and college, and I got into some trouble with some friends of mine and did some drugs and got busted and got kicked out of school and was told I had to go home. And so I was up in Maine and I was 9 hours away from home. And so I had to call my parents and tell them what had happened. And so when I called home and I said what had happened, and I was crying and very upset and very embarrassed, and my parents said, James, we love you, come home. And in that moment, I went from knowing about God to knowing God because I experienced the full range of God's forgiving grace and knowing that I had a place to go home to, even though I had sinned and erred and strayed from God's ways. And then when I got home, my church was like Ananias. They took me in. They didn't doubt me or question me or they might have slapped me a couple times. I deserved it, but they loved me and nurtured me and set me back on my feet and sent me back to school with my tail between my legs to confess and say I was sorry, and would they let me back in? And they did, and I was able to finish the program. And that was a real transformative experience. About a month ago, I had another experience where I was at the rally for Black Lives Matter in downtown Decatur, and I was one of many clergy, and there were several thousand people there. And a friend of mine from the Decatur Rotary named Elliot got up to speak. And Elliot and I have been good friends for 10 years. We have lunch together at the Rotary every Friday at noon. And he got up and he spoke and he said, as he pointed at the Confederate monument in downtown Decatur, he said, every time I see that on my way to have lunch with my friends, I get sick to my stomach. And I thought, oh my God, this is my good friend, and I'm white and he's black. We have lunch together every Friday, and we've known each other so well, and I never knew that. I never knew that every time I saw him on Friday that he was feeling sick to his stomach. And I felt like, as I listened to him, I felt like that I was blind and the scales were falling off my eyes. And I thought, my God, he never felt he could tell me that, and I never thought to ask. So that was a very big awakening moment for me, to know that we need to ask each other and care for each other. But also, I was inspired by that point to go forth with clergy in Decatur to advocate for the removal of the Confederate monument, to do it for my friend Elliot, so he wouldn't feel sick to his stomach every time he walked into downtown square. So yay Saul, who had the courage, and yay Ananias, who had the courage to live into God's light. Thank you for listening, and thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and thank you
Beautiful.
for sharing.
Yeah.
And yay God for working through us.
And and if it hadn't been for forgiving parents, if it hadn't been for a loving church, if it hadn't been for my friend's honesty, who would I be now? What kind of person would I be? And all those folks who loved you and cared you and said, you are who you are. So we want to know your stories. You matter to us.
Yes.
And Anna's going to preach on this on Sunday. So this is your preliminary lead in to Sunday morning. So you be thinking about this, because there is high drama at the crossroads.
Yep. Let's see. We've got Allison and William and Ruth here. Lee and Kim Stanley, Nita Carson. Hi, Mom.
Jorge. Chase. Yeah, Chase.
Hi, Answa, who's changed his name again.
Love it.
And thank you, Allison and Ruth, for your sweet comments.
Yes.
And Henry for commenting while we're reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want you to know that we're praying for you all. We love you, and it's a joy to be your pastors.
Amen. So we got a couple announcements we want to share. So we are going through the Crossroads sermon series and worship series. We've had a couple of folks in the congregation say, why are you worshiping in the fellowship hall? We have this beautiful sanctuary, and why aren't we there? And the answer is, for the last 2 summers, plus this one, that's 3 summers, we've done our summer series in the fellowship hall. And the reason for that is to bring the volume down, to bring the anxiety level down, so that we can discuss difficult texts together. We want to wrestle with the hard texts, with the ones that really get into the core of your faith, your journey, our journeys together. So we're intentional about sitting around a table and, big love at God's table. And there's big love at that table. So we're sitting around a table and we're having a conversational style worship service throughout this Crossroads series. We'll be returning to the sanctuary in August. It's still there. It's beautiful. And God's grace abounds. But I think, wherever we are is holy. If we take off our shoes and recognize we're on holy ground. So let's be holy wherever we are. And that's the reason we're in the fellowship hall. And I understand that some folks are having a hard time hearing. So on this Sunday, we're going to yell at you. So I did a wedding today,
Yay.
and I got a picture. So I'm gonna show it real quick. But this is the sweet couple I married today, Kenyatta and Jure, and they are so sweet. And they came by and they got married, and they're so happy.
Yay.
Yay! Congratulations, Kenyatta
Yeah.
and Jure.
Yay, weddings. I think I have one more announcement.
Yes.
We've been talking about for the last few months about our virtual VBS, and we've actually changed it up a little bit this year. And instead of virtual VBS, it's going to be story time and games for anyone, any kids who want to come. It's free from July 20th through the 24th at 9:30, from 9:30 to 10 each morning. I'll log on to Zoom and have a blast with the kids. So if you're interested in that for your kids or any children you know, just text me, call me, email me, and I will get them the Zoom link.
This kids of all ages? Are you really focusing on children?
I'm going to focus on the
You're
children.
gonna focus on children. All right. For kids who are older than children, they got Netflix.
Yeah. We might let you pop in one of the days.
Yeah.
All right. Any other ones?
So yeah, membership is meeting on July 20th, and I believe outreach. Ruth, help me out here. I think outreach is the 19th. Is that correct? The 19th after worship, and so we're excited about that. And what else do you need to know? And Pat says might help if readers stand. I think it's hard to hear because they're looking down at their laptops when they read. Oh, I don't know about that. Well, maybe you're right. Oh, okay. We need all the good advice we can get. Thank you so much. Well, listen, folks, it's been really awesome to be with you tonight. We love you very much. Your church is looking good. Ron's working hard. Rebecca's working hard, our church administrator. Russell is keeping the numbers tight. William and Allison and Kathy are planning beautiful services. So your tithes, your offerings, your gifts of time and talent and treasure are making a huge difference. We are feeding folks every day through our free food pantry, and the food that we gave to Deem was very much appreciated. Thank you so much. I can't think of anything else. I think we could let folks go. Right? What do you think? That's it? Anything else?
I think we're good.
I think we're good. And you're good. We love you very much. Blessings and peace. May the love and grace of God be with you now and always.
See you Sunday.
Bye. See you Sunday.